Hello and welcome to the Riser Virtual Cheese Awards 2025, where we are showcasing the very, very best of British cheese. You are joined by Stephen and Charlie, and Sarah has joined us too as well, as we're going to be judging the Creamery Red Leicester category. I'm Danielle Tingy and I'm going to be moderating, keeping these two judges ish in line. Introduce yourself, judges, please.
Hi, so I'm Stephen Fleming. I'm the owner of George and Joseph Cheesemongers. We're up in Leeds, been there for about 15 years or so. I also teach with Academy of Cheese as well.
My name is Charlie Turnbull. I have run a cheese shop for 15 years, but I am now a full-time cheese educator, amongst other things, director of the Academy of Cheese as well.
Fabulous. Okay, so in this category, we've got two cheeses. We're going to be looking at the appearance, the aroma, the texture, and the flavour. And at the end, we're going to be awarding a potential 10 top score for each of those categories. The winning cheese out of this category will go on to the best of category stage on the 10th of June. Right, let's go. We're starting with 1025.
Danielle, I'm interrupting already. Come on, get a grip. You wanted an introduction to the category.
Introduction to the category. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so do you want to go, Stephen, or shall I have a crack?
You carry on, Charlie. You keep going.
All right. So Red Leicester, often seen as red cheddar, it is it's a traditional British cheese, lower acid, high press, is cheddared in the traditional way, and so it's for a long time was very much the sort of the boring sister of cheddar, good for colour, poor for taste. But over recent years, we've seen a resurgence, and now there is good quality knocking around, which I guess is what we're looking for today.
Definitely. I remember that exact poor quality, poor relation Red Leicester from my childhood days. That was the cheese that was always left behind on the cheese board.
Looks great with Branston pickle in a sandwich.
Yeah.
But has it come a long way? Let's go.
Find out.
So 1025 is the first one. Tell us how it's looking.
Well, it's a block, right? I'm not really sure what we're supposed to sort of think. It is red, which is good. But these creamery blocks will be 25 kilo when whole. They won't have a rind. They will be regular in shape. So in terms of their character, very little can be told from the cheese, from the visual impact of the cheese. You do with the natto, as we're seeing it here, maybe yours as well, Stephen, slight variations of colour across the piece. There'll be darker and lighter pieces.
Yeah, there's darker and lighter pieces on this one as well.
Yeah, some people think that's a bit of an issue. I don't think it's relevant at all. In fact, I rather like the fact that you get a sort of marbling effect, which is nice. You might get, as you can see on that one, a slight dent as if there's a slight poor quality pressing.
Yeah,
but
I've got a bit of a ding in the rind of mine, which is maybe from the just the packaging.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that that's an indication that would stop me wanting to put it on a cheese board or find a use case for it. So I think it's of interest only at this stage.
Okay.
So I find it really hard to give a mark out of 10 for something that has a sort of broad range of acceptability, if you see what I mean.
And what about the smells?
There's not much aroma. You get anything, Charlie?
A little. I am getting what?
I'm going to break it up and see if there's anything more on the inside. Well, there's more aroma in the centre.
Yeah, there is. And I think we're back into sort of bacon land, are we? Meatiness.
Yeah, slightly meaty.
Not strongly bacony. It very much is a sort of... That's very pleasant, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's clean. There are no faults in it. But not much going on.
Okay. And what about the texture?
Well, we can see that it's got that pressed curd look again. I don't know if you can see that all right.
There's a little bit of give in it, a bit of spring.
There is.
Not a huge amount.
And it does go to a crumble. So it's slightly drier than, say, a cheddar of this style would be, which would likely be more elastic and squidgy.
Mm-hmm.
What about the flavour, Stephen?
Yeah, there's definitely the sort of up front is the sweetness of it, I would say.
I agree.
Very little in the way of any kind of bitterness or sourness to there at all. What else?
So for me, it starts sweet, but then goes savoury.
Hmm.
And there is acidity underlining it, and there is saltiness underlining it, but the sweet and savoury seem to me the dominant. And as you say, there's no bitterness.
Yeah.
So it's a clean and appealing combination. Arguably, from a purist point of view, the sweetness is not fully typical of a red Leicester. It's more sweet than a red Leicester would be in historic terms.
Yeah.
But for this category and this style, it's probably ticking most of the boxes, isn't it?
What about so dairy flavors?
A little.
It's a sort of a sweetish milk flavor, I think.
Milk, yeah.
But not steamed milk. It hasn't got that cooked milk kind of.
No.
It's sort of more of a condensed milk, maybe. Is that a?
Yeah, if that's probably the nearest way to go with it, I would say. Yeah.
What about the bacon aroma that you first indicated? Does that come?
I'm definitely getting meatiness, and I would say bacon, but not strong bacon, not like smoked bacon or gamey bacon or whatever. Just sort of
Undertone.
Yeah, maybe I'm. What do you think, Stephen?
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm almost getting kind of like sliced ham.
Yeah, maybe that's
rather than
better.
bacon.
Okay.
You know, the sort of wafer thin, that kind of flavour.
But not strong.
Not strong, and actually, you can see you could put the two together in a sandwich.
They're probably very nice.
You get the visual thing, and you get the flavours would work really nicely as well.
Okay.
Nothing much beyond that. I'm getting.
No, and it doesn't hang around, does it?
No. So it falls away quite quickly.
Yeah.
You want to mark this off?
Yeah.
I really am at a loss as to how you would mark the appearance on something like this. So I'm going to say 8 because I've not got a better plan. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
I think I agree with that, Charlie. Yeah.
Smell, sort of the same. I mean, it's got an appealing array, so it's good. But again, texture's fine. I really struggle to think because like this isn't what it's for. It's for. I mean, it's supposed to, I suppose let's take that back actually. If you're putting it in a sandwich, would this texture work? If you're putting it with a pickle on a cheese board, would this texture work? And it would be fine.
It would, yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose we can reward it for being, solid for purpose.
Uh-huh.
I think that's it. There's a theme of just kind of like broad consistency across it, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously been very, in that regard, it's well thought out, isn't it?
It's well thought out, well delivered.
Yeah, and
it's got the USP of having this strong meaty character.
Yeah.
It's putting at risk the idea that it is a red Leicester because then it draws it away from the classic style. But no one's going to not like this. It's going to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's more of a new world red Leicester then with Helvetica.
Well, I was going to use the H word, but now you've brought it up, Sarah. See, it's like Helvetica is widely considered to be an interloper in British cheese making, and therefore not of classic. It's a deviation in that sense. But I'm not getting that super sugary sweetness off this that Helvetica does deliver in some cheeses. So it's been used with intent, but not massively out of balance. Is that fair?
That's fine.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
I'm still getting a pronounced savoury note, so it's got the savoury,
Yeah, that's good.
to do that with the Helveticas.
Yeah.
So what are you giving texture then? Texture and flavour?
I would come down a bit for texture because it's sort of firm and then a bit crumbly. If you were going to slice this, it wouldn't slice easily.
No.
So we can go down to sort of 6 3/4.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair on the texture.
And then I think we can sort of take it up to sort of a 7 3/4 to 8 for flavour,
Yeah.
because it's got a simple profile, but it states itself nicely.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely.
So 6.75 and 7.75 for those two last categories, texture and flavour.
Are we all right with that, Stephen? It's a very difficult one to judge this.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I'm interested to try the second one now to get some comparisons.
Yeah. Okay, so the second and final one in this category is 1154, please. B4 1154.
So yeah, it's another block piece, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mine's slightly more fragmented than the previous piece.
Agreed. Slightly paler in colour.
Paler in colour, yeah.
And it looks like we've got calcium build up on the edge.
Yeah.
Have you got an edge? You've got an edge as well. And actually, if you look inside the cheese, it's got calcium crystals there.
Yeah, there's a few of those dotted around in there as well.
And to get those calcium lactate crystals, you usually need quite a lot of age or something, which is, I mean, I don't associate calcium lactate crystals with Leicester.
No, me neither. Me neither. So I'm anticipating they might be delivering a bit of a crunch to this, possibly. Quite a different texture when you crack it open, isn't it?
Have a smell. We're back to our chicken fat.
We are, aren't we? Yeah, yeah.
With a hint of more roast chicken.
Yeah, it's definitely got that sort of meaty poultry. Which personally, that's an aroma I enjoy, so that's drawing me in.
So Patrick McGugan uses the phrase, now that I remembered it, he uses chicken stock for this aroma.
Yeah.
And I can see that, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump in and try that.
Okay. The texture is softer, a little more elastic, slightly less to whatever the word is, less to crumbly, and so possibly a little more traditional, but not something that I would ever worry about.
There is a bit of crunch in there as well.
There is a crunch.
And
You've started eating it.
Yeah, the mouth feel is more sort of mouth coaty.
Yeah, it's fudgy in texture and flavour.
Yeah.
Going back to what Sarah was saying, this is a much more Helvetica style cheese.
Yeah, totally.
So we've got a really pronounced sweetness, which is the dominant characteristic of this cheese. That is very much in that fudge condensed milk direction. And there is savoury, but it's been reduced to a sort of second player in the flavour. And are you getting any sort of burnt milk notes?
There's a little bit of something. It does just kind of like catch a little bit. Yeah.
I actually don't have a problem with that. It adds another dimension.
Comes through towards the end. It does sort of change. You get hit with that sweetness first of all, and then that sort of fades a bit, and the savoury stuff kind of builds
latterly.
Yeah.
For me, this has departed too far from Red Leicester. This has really taken it in a modernist direction.
Yeah.
And while that is a legitimate market share, and I'm fully supportive of you making as much money as you possibly can, because that, to be honest, is the most important thing, that we're all in business today, tomorrow, and the next day. But from a Red Leicester perspective, it's quite a reach.
Yeah, it's a way, isn't it? Away from, yeah.
Yeah. And then I also think that with red Leicesters like this, you are looking to use it in a sandwich-like setting. So if you want the sweetness, there's lots of other chutneys, blah blah blah, that you can bring it in. I think possibly it's trying to be too much inside the cheese. It's trying to be a bit of everything. But we're probably just showing our purest natures here, if you know what I mean.
Possibly, yeah. And again, I think, like I said with the previous one, obviously the intention is to produce something which is going to have a very broad appeal. And the use of the Helvetica and the sweetness there that's ticking lots of boxes. That sweet savoury combination is what it sells.
Yeah,
People like it. Broad appeal.
They do buy it. Yeah.
they do. But from a marking competitive perspective, for me, this has moved to a space of being out of balance. We haven't got that savoury sweet combination quite in the same interesting way. It's leaning too sweet now.
Too sweet, yeah, I agree.
And that sort of fudginess and condensed milk and that kind of thing is makes it less of a cheese to me.
Okay, we're ready to score.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Appearance.
What did we give the last one? 8, because you can't
Yeah, the
really
last one 8, yeah.
difficult to fault something that is just what it is. Are we happy with that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, aroma.
But it's got that chicken stock thing.
Well, I find that really interesting because I think that chicken stock would be a divisive feature for this cheese. Does the average person want to open and think, oh, this smells of chicken? Is that what they want?
Yeah, it's a good point. They might be a bit put off by it, actually.
Yeah. If they bought this cheese because it is Helveticus rich, it's got lovely creamy fudgy notes, and then they're smelling of chicken,
they might
maybe
be
that's
a bit wary. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we should bring that down a bit, sort of to a 6 or something.
Good point, yeah.
But that's interesting because in other cheeses where we're expecting the consumer to want unusual and complexity, we're seeing that as a positive. So I don't know, they'll watch this video and they will come to their own conclusions as to whether we are being outlandish in our suggestions. But I think in a mainstream cheese like this, from a creamery product, this chicken element is possible.
Yeah, and that's coming back to the category that we're judging. Then that's it, isn't it? If this is a bit out of whack for the category, then bring it down. All
right, a 6.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
next?
Texture.
It's crumbly and fudgy, and I think that it wouldn't cut easily for sandwiches.
Yeah, it just sort of breaks apart quite easily in your hand, so I wouldn't want to go at it with a big knife.
So a 6 again, and the flavour 6.5. It's interesting. The sweetness is obviously relevant in today's market, but it feels a bit out of balance.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
All right.
Right, well that concludes the judging of the Creamery Red Leicester. We've got a clear winner there, B41154 with a score. I'm doing this all wrong. Sorry, ignore me. The first cheese is the clear winner, B41025, and that scored 34.375. Thank you very much, judges. Thank you very much to Butler's Farmhouse Cheeses for sponsoring our aprons, and for Miller's for sending the delicious crackers. Don't forget, category finals are on the 10th of June, and the grand final, where we will decipher the very, very best of British cheeses, is on the 11th of June, with the Supreme Champion being announced on that day too. Join us then. Thank you so much, everybody. That concludes this session.